Welcome to Crime, where we investigate the world's darkest minds, most haunting mysteries, and the killers who forever changed history. Today's story is as disturbing as it is unbelievable. Imagine a man who throws community barbecues, volunteers in politics, performs as a clown for sick children, and is secretly a cold, calculated serial killer. Between 1972 and 1978, John Wayne Gacy brutally murdered 33 young men and boys, hiding most of their bodies in the crawl space beneath his suburban home. He didn't just fool the victims. He fooled the police, the neighbors, his co-workers, even his own family. This isn't just a story of murder. It's a story about masks, how predators hide in plain sight. Let's dive deep into the horrifying case of John Wayne Gacy, better known as the Killer Clown. John Wayne Gacy Jr. was born in Chicago, Illinois, on March 17, 1942, the only son of a working-class family. He had two sisters, and while his mother was nurturing, his father was a violent alcoholic who beat Gacy frequently. Gacy suffered from health problems in childhood, being overweight, unathletic, and prone to blackouts. His father mocked him for not being man enough and often accused him of being queer. These traumas would stay with Gacy for life. He craved approval, attention, and control, feelings that later twisted into something deeply sinister. As a teen, Gacy struggled academically and socially but found early success in sales. He was charismatic and good with people, skills he would later use to gain trust and manipulate victims. In 1964, Gacy married and moved to Waterloo, Iowa, where he managed 3 KFC restaurants owned by his father-in-law. But it didn't take long for his dark side to emerge. In 1968, Gacy was convicted of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy and sentenced to 10 years in prison. His wife divorced him. His father died while he was in jail. And yet, Gacy only served 18 months. After being released in 1970, he moved back to Illinois and began rebuilding his life. New neighborhood, new business, new image. No one knew about his past, and he made sure of it. By the mid-1970s, Gacy seemed like the American dream in the flesh. He launched PDM Contractors, a construction company where he hired local teens and young men. He joined the Democratic Party, met First Lady Rosalynn Carter at a fundraiser, and became known as the neighborhood fun guy. He even had a persona, Pogo the Clown. On weekends, Gacy would put on clown makeup and perform at parades, parties, and children's hospitals. He said it gave him joy, but behind closed doors he was already killing. Gacy's victims were almost all teenage boys or young men, usually between the ages of 14 and 21. Many were runaways, others were hired to do construction work or simply met him on the street. He would often use the promise of money, work, alcohol, or drugs to lure them to his home. Once inside, he had a favorite ruse, the handcuff trick. He would pretend to perform a clown routine, get the victim to try on handcuffs, and then say, "The trick is, you have to have the key." Then came torture, sexual assault, and eventually death, often by asphyxiation or strangulation with a rope and a stick, a method he chillingly called the rope trick. After the murder, he would store the bodies in his crawl space, sometimes for months at a time. He eventually ran out of room and began dumping victims in rivers. While not all victims could be named, some still remain unidentified. Many families were devastated by their sons vanishing without a trace. Timothy McCoy, age 16, was Gacy's first known murder in 1972. Gacy claimed it was an accident, but later admitted it excited him. John Butkovich, 17, a former PDM employee, was murdered in 1975 after an argument over back pay. Robert Piest, 15, was Gacy's final victim, and the one that led to his arrest. In total, Gacy confessed to 33 murders, but some investigators believe the true number may be higher. In December 1978, Robert Piest went missing after telling his mother he was going to talk to a man about a job. That man was John Wayne Gacy. Piest's family went to police. Suspicious of Gacy's record, they got a search warrant for his home. During the search, officers found class ring, clothing that didn't belong to Gacy, a receipt from a pharmacy linked to Piest, But they still didn't find a body. Under surveillance, Gacy began to unravel. He started drinking heavily, crashed his car, and even confessed to 2 murders during a late-night breakdown with his lawyers. A second search warrant finally gave police access to the crawl space. The stench was unbearable. One officer scraped the dirt and pulled up decomposed flesh. That was all they needed. In the days that followed, investigators pulled body after body from Gacy's crawl space, 29 in total. For more were found in nearby rivers. Some were so decomposed they couldn't be identified. Forensic experts and pathologists worked for years trying to match dental records and DNA to bring names to the victims. Neighbors watched in horror as police worked day and night beneath the house. The media swarmed. America was stunned. The image of Pogo the Clown would never look innocent again. Gacy's trial began in February 1980. The evidence was overwhelming, but Gacy's defense team attempted an insanity plea. The prosecution, however, painted a clear picture. Gacy knew what he was doing. He premeditated his murders. He buried the bodies. He lied to cover them up. Over 60 witnesses were called. The jury took less than 2 hours to deliver a guilty verdict on all 33 counts of murder. Gacy was sentenced to death and sent to death row at Menard Correctional Center. While incarcerated, he remained defiant. He gave interviews, sold clown paintings, and never apologized. He even tried to appeal his sentence multiple times. On May 10, 1994, after 14 years on death row, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. His final words? "Kiss my ass." The case of John Wayne Gacy changed the way America viewed safety, strangers, and how serial killers could blend into society. He wasn't a drifter, a loner, or a social outcast. He was successful, charming, liked by many. He was the monster next door. The Gacy case led to renewed focus on missing children, background checks for employers, and the creation of national databases for runaways and unidentified bodies. In 2011, Cook County reopened several unidentified cases. Thanks to DNA testing, new victims have been identified even decades later. Today, many of Gacy's paintings, especially of clowns, remain infamous. Some have been destroyed. Others are collected morbidly as murderabilia. The house where Gacy killed dozens has since been demolished. A new home was built over it. But for those who remember the horrors beneath that crawl space, the ghosts never left. John Wayne Gacy's case isn't just a tale of evil. It's a haunting reminder of how monsters can hide in plain sight. If you found this deep dive informative, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Here at Crime, we bring you the stories that shook the world and the secrets still hiding in the shadows. Comment below which case you want us to cover next. And remember, evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile.